Hi, my name's Dylan. I am currently an honors student at Open Window and working at Laguna Games. And last year, we had 9 weeks to make our first VR and/or AR games. So this is going to be about prototyping and how it saved my sheep, featuring my game called YEET the Sheep that I made. So I think an issue that happens quite a lot when we're starting out making games is we think we have good ideas and I've played lots of games, I know what makes a game fun, so we just start making stuff. And then, weeks later, you let someone play it and it's terrible. And then you've spent a lot of time just kind of wasting it, right? And then we get a bit better at it and we start prototyping really early, and we start to figure out that you don't know what players are going to do in your games until they've done it. And then you can learn and grow from there. I think then, when we get a bit more comfortable making games, we end up reverting back to the old ways where we're like, I've made a bunch of games now, I know what makes things fun, and we start prototyping and we end up wasting time again. So I almost did that with this game, and early prototyping kind of saved the entire thing. So the concept was you were going to be a giant shepherd, and you're going to have floating islands and a beautiful flock of really stupid sheep. And the sheep were going to just jump off to their deaths if you didn't watch them. So you were going to keep them safe, and there's going to be obstacles, and you were going to herd them into their little farmhouse, and at the end of the day, you would be like, great, I'm a perfect little shepherd man, and I kept them all safe. So I started making this, and I thought, this is going to be awesome. And I got people to play test it. And the result was terrible. Everyone hated it. I hated it. It was super boring. There was nothing fun about it. It was just trash. But luckily, I did my first testing in the first 2 weeks. So I had a lot of time to try and learn from what I'd messed up and make it better. So I had to say goodbye to my lovely idea that I thought was great, which turned out it wasn't. And I had to learn from it. So things I learned is that players didn't want to save the sheep. Most of them didn't even really care about the sheep. They just kind of started hitting them. People got really bored and just used to knock them around and send them to their deaths. And I learned that people in VR have no remorse. You guys are all monsters. It's just no control. So what I did, players wanted to hit the sheep, so I made it happen. And I made them hit the sheep damn hard. I wrote a little script that gets the angle of your hand and the speed of it and adds that to the sheep and sends them flying, as you can see when that restarts. We also added a little upward force just so you feel powerful whenever you're hitting the sheep, which I didn't want to do, but people loved it, so you know what, we'll do it. Then players wanted motivation, which was mostly just an excuse for why they were hitting the sheep. So we did that by putting barrels with lids that open and close, and you had to hit the sheep into the barrels. So now they had a goal. Then players wanted a challenge, because hitting sheep into barrels just got a little easy. So I gave them a timer and a high score and made it intense, so people could then challenge themselves and try to beat their friends. As the game got a little bit more polished, I added portals to shoot the sheep around and power-ups to make more sheep or make the sheep faster, but that was all a little bit later. So it worked. And the game was completely different to my original idea, very, very different to my original idea, but people loved it. People wanted to play it as opposed to before when they just wanted to get rid of the sheep and leave. So things I learned from this entire experience was don't work in isolation. It's very easy to get stuck on your idea and think this is perfect and I love it, but you don't always know. So get other people to play your things. Get other people to hear your ideas. It'll sometimes open your eyes to things that you just couldn't see. You can't predict how players will interact with your games. That's just a given. Once you let someone play it, it's out of your control. And people will do weird stuff. I mean, you designed the game to work a certain way. You'll only play it that way. So you kind of have to lead into that unpredictability of players in your games. Then you must be open to adapting based on the feedback. I think as creatives, it's very easy to be precious with our ideas and to sit there going, I've spent so much time designing this, and I've drawn art of it, and I've dreamt about it, and I don't want to change it. But sometimes you have to. And that's just part of iteration and getting better every time you do something. And then, most importantly, is prototype early. I think it's something, like I said in the beginning, that people constantly go back to not doing. And if your game is fun with a bunch of little cubes and squares running around, then you know you've got a good concept. You don't need to have art, you don't need to have polish, you don't need to have anything else to make a fun experience. So yeah, that was a little, there's GIFs of the game, but we'll also have demos of it and you guys can play it. But yeah, you can get access to the game on my website, nebula1.com. It's got a link to my itch page and everything on there, and you can find me on Twitter and all those things. It's cool. Thank you.